If you ever wonder why you're not getting 3 stars, chances are you're making a simple mistake. So today, let's go through 5 of the biggest mistakes that I see players making in Clash of Clans. As someone who's been playing Clash of Clans for nearly a decade, I feel like I have a lot of experience on the most common errors a player will make. I'll also give you guys a quick summary on how to fix these mistakes and instantly up your 3 stars. Now, the very first mistake I see a lot of players making is choosing the wrong army for the wrong base. Base identification is the most universal aspect of Clash of Clans, whether you like it or not. For example, you wouldn't use an Electro Dragon army versus a base that is spread out and has poor chain for the E-Drags to get through. This is why you want to look for poorly designed bases or compact bases that have a lot of chain that you can get throughout the base. So by this logic, it is easier to understand at looking at one particular strategy. So grouping types of strategies based on which bases they work against can help you find the right army for the right base. So some examples of grouping strategies together could be something like queen charge attacks. These are typically running defense targeting units only, thus it means that you're typically looking for bases that can get you a lot of defensive value. So any sort of defenses that can pose a serious risk to your troops, alongside the enemy CC and the enemy queen, since your troops can't fight back. The exception is the queen charge hybrid, since it uses both a defensive unit and a unit that can target anything. You're just looking for funneling alongside some defensive value and the enemy CC. Another one would be a smash attack, which, since it doesn't really look for one particular thing, you mainly just want easy pathing to move through the base. Another one would be air spam, things like E-Drags or Super Dragons, as these tend to prefer bases that are compact since they do splash damage. Inferno Dragons are the exception because while they can be used on practically any base, they're specifically looking for single target Infernos, so not a group of them is just getting taken down. Now, I could go on and on, but you get the idea. There are some armies, though, that can be quite flexible. This includes stuff like Blizzard. However, these can be chalked down to just going in for funneling and value for a Blizzard attack. This can be stuff like the Blizzard Dragons or even a Blizzard Lalo, since you want to clear value and funneling for both your Lalo and your heroes. All in all, this gives you an idea on how you can find the best army for the right base, just like subscribing and ringing the bell for more quality content like this. Now, the second biggest mistake I see a lot of players making is using the wrong siege machine for an army. Ever since siege machines were added, they pretty much defined how an attack was performed. With that said, I still see a lot of people who are using the wrong siege machine for an army that doesn't even go with them. For example, using a log launcher in an E-Drag or Super Dragon army usually doesn't synergize with the army at all, since the log launcher is a ground-only siege machine that can only be targeted by ground defenses, which could end up popping it earlier rather than later. This is just a taste of what some might do. However, this is why I would recommend putting siege machines in groups. This can include things like ground-only siege machines. These only work with other ground units, and some air attacks have ground portions. Typically, it's the wall wrecker and the log launcher, with the exception of the siege barrack. The siege barrack only works with ground-only armies rather than both air and ground, so it doesn't synergize with air attacks at all. Of course, with air-only attacks, the best siege machine for that is the Stone Slammer, since you can get a lot of tankage and a lot of damage. However, there are some siege machines that are very flexible. This includes the Battle Blimp, Battle Drill, and Flame Flinger, all of which have their own use cases but can fit in almost any army with some exceptions. While this is a mistake not every player will make, it is not something to ignore, as it can make or break a 3-star and possibly a win. The next most common mistake I keep seeing is, of course, not funneling enough. This is genuinely one of the biggest reasons to why you're failing to get 3 stars. There are many ways to set the funnel. For example, using an Electro Dragon to clear buildings that are close together, or using Sneaky Goblins to clear out resource buildings. However, spamming all your troops in one line or in one spot is not funneling, and thus it can lead to a fail. You want to have your troops go in the right direction whenever possible. This is why there are plenty of things that can help you funnel. This includes siege machines with the Flame Flinger and the Siege Barrack, alongside using a blimp with Yetis inside that can do the job just as well depending on what the Yeti and Yeti mites go for. Troops like Baby Dragons, Sneaky Goblins, E-Drags, or even Super Barbarians can be used to funnel out buildings. Balloons are really good if there are defenses in the way of your funnel. Lightning spells can also be good as they can clear a funnel from the interior side in getting rid of an Inferno Tower in some armies. All of these options can give you the bigger picture of funneling. Doing this can drastically increase your performance in any attack. This next mistake here is really one we've all done. Time fails. You know them, you probably don't love them, but this is the result of not managing time. A queen charge, for instance, can be quite a long part of an attack, but sometimes watching it for too long might unfortunately give you very little time to react with other phases of your army. For example, Lalo needs plenty of time to move across the base, and while you have haste spells, the chance of that you can get a time fail is high. Whether that is not placing the minions when you have a lot of buildings left for cleanup is all under time management. If you don't have something to do for an attack, start cleaning up to save time. Super Archer Blimps are another example, as it takes some time for you to get through all of the spells and can thus probably get you a time fail, especially if you're using a slow unit like Electro Titans. Now, I could go on, but managing the clock is super important, especially if you don't want to get a time fail. Trust me, I've been there too. But you know what isn't a fail is using my creator code Corrupt, to support me and everything I do here on the channel. The last biggest mistake I've seen some players make is letting your hero go to auto ability. This sounds crazy, but it can actually hurt you rather than being a safety net. This is especially true for a queen charge, as your queen can get targeted by a scatter shot, which still pierces the damage onto the queen if it's targeting onto something in front of her, even under her ability. So it's important to be aware, since this could force your queen to perish. What I would do to avoid this basic mistake is to make sure that you are aware of the abilities. If you see a hero getting close to red, you might want to use the ability to recover some HP and give your heroes a fighting chance, and to give them an opportunity to get more value. The only exception can be your Archer Queen, since holding onto it for whenever necessary is better than using it whenever your queen gets down to red, especially doing a queen charge, since that hero ability can either make or break later on in the attack. So there you go, how you can avoid and fix these mistakes. Thank you for those who are supporting me as a channel member. Feel free to join by clicking the join icon. And of course, if you want to see more strategy guides, check out this playlist right here, and I'll see you there.